Listen, I don't want any more bullshit.
Shit, bullshit free gang. What's up? You know what? Now that we got all the bullshit takes, and look at me, give me attention, Skip Bayless style stupid fucking comments and commentary from these clowns out here about the 2021 draft out of the way, now it's time for me to do what I do and give you the bullshit free version. Let's talk about the question everybody's asking, debating, fighting about, and bandying about. Did Chris Ballard and his team completely horsefuck the 2021 draft that just happened over the weekend? And yeah, the question of the fucking millennium, they didn't take a left tackle. Why didn't they take a fucking left tackle? So we're going to answer this. Did they foobar this thing completely? Or a few months from now, are we all going to be on our knees yelling, you're not worthy to Chris Ballard like some old Wayne's World shit? We're going to find out. I'm going to break down to you which one it is, like I always do. But before we jump into that, let me welcome you back, or if it's your first time here, welcome you to, my friend, the #1 uncensored NFL podcast in the world, the one-of-a-kind, completely unique, always controversial, always straight up, often imitated but never duplicated, the real one's hater magnet, the bullshit-free Colts podcast. The only place in the world where you're going to hear everything there is worth hearing about the Colts. But here, baby, you hear it with no coach speak, no PR spin, no political correctness, and most importantly and most consistently, 100% with no motherfucking bullshit. I'm your host, Harkon Ajala, a.k.a. the Bad Boy Genius, at your motherfucking service as always. And here, baby, is where you're going to hear it straight up. I'm going to say what I mean what I say, a.k.a. I'll let my motherfucking nuts hang and let the chips fall where they may. So let's get to breaking down what the fuck happened in the 2021 draft for the Colts, because some of y'all are just perplexed or concerned. Some of y'all on motherfucking suicide watch. So let's dive into it. But before we do, as I say, if you're listening to this, you are not a cornball, you are a pimp. So I want you to take your pimp ass finger and help your boy out by smashing that like button down below. That is free for you to do, but it's extremely helpful to us because it allows the algorithm to share this podcast with other hardcore, bleeding blue, real deal Colts fans like yourself who want to hear the real shit, not the shill shit. And that Colts fan, you, my friend, are especially who I make this podcast for. So make sure you smash that like button now. Make sure you share this with somebody who will appreciate it. Make sure your ass is subscribed so you get the notifications when I drop these motherfuckers. And last but not least, if you like what we're doing, you enjoy the podcast, help us to continue making more and more of them by helping your boy out with a small donation. There's 3 ways you can do it. Right down below, you can drop your man a Cash App in 2 seconds or whatever. Whether it's $20, $15, $10, $5, even $1 will help us to continue creating more and more content like this that you motherfuckers tell me you love. All right? So now that that's out the way, without further ado, let's get down to talking about what the fuck Chris Ballard was thinking in this 2021 draft. Or, as I love to say, let's chop it the fuck up. Okay, so we're going to unpack this 2021 draft in detail and look at each one of the draft picks, the pros and cons, and what their projections are as we go on this week. But you know, we might as well get down to the fucking blue elephant in the room, right? The biggest thing that most people are everything from pissed off about to confused about to ready to drop their Colts fandom about. And that is, the Colts didn't draft a fucking left tackle of the future in this draft, right? They didn't really take a left tackle. They took Will Fries, who's an offensive lineman, at the end of the draft. But really, he projects as a guard, and they've even talked about that. So, you know, I've heard people from Colts fans all the way up to NFL pundits and so-called draft experts and national media, football guys, etc., talking about this thing. And here's what it really boils down to. All y'all making this fucking thing way too complicated, way more complicated and involved than it really is. What it comes down to is pretty simple. The Colts had 6 picks. Well, they actually had 7 picks because they traded back, and I think the 6th round and got another 7th round pick. So the Colts had 7 picks, and each time they made one of those picks, there was a better player available than the left tackles that were available. I mean, it really is just that fucking simple. That's just kind of how the draft fell this year. Now, where a lot of the, shall we say, spirited discussion / motherfuckers ready to fight, where a lot of that comes in is in the first 2 rounds, okay, where there's a lot of debate over whether the Colts should have taken a left tackle in one of the first 2 rounds, at number 21 the first round or number 54 in the second round. And here's the thing. Now, anybody who's been listening to me in this podcast over the last few weeks knows that at number 21, when the Colts, I don't really do this that often, but I fucking was literally holding my breath. I was waiting with bated breath, as my writer colleagues might write, when they announced that pick, because the situation that I talked about and tweeted about, but I never thought would actually happen, actually happened. Both Kwity Paye and Christian Darrisaw, left tackle, so Kwity Paye, the top defensive end prospect in the draft, in my opinion, and Christian Darrisaw, the 3rd best left tackle prospect in the draft, in my opinion, were both available at number 21. I knew that Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater, the 2 best left tackles in this draft, I knew they'd be gone by 21. And personally, I thought Kwity Paye would probably be gone by 21. So when they both were available at pick 21, as I said, let me take you back to the rather dramatic scene I set for you. I was fucking waiting with bated breath when they said the pick was in. Because, like I said, if you've been listening to me, you know I said this in my podcast on the edge rushers in the draft over a month ago. I said straight up, if Kwity Paye is available at 21 and the Colts don't call his fucking name, I'm going to jump through the screen and choke somebody. Now, that sentiment had not changed. I would have been okay with them picking Darrisaw there. Like, I would have understood why they did it, but I would have thought it was a mistake. I thought that Kwity Paye, in terms of impact and ceiling, was a much better choice there. And so did Chris Ballard and his team, apparently, because not only did they take Kwity Paye there, but Chris made the statement afterwards that they felt Kwity Paye was far and away the best prospect available there. Now, we'll never know if Jaelan Phillips and Kwity Paye had both been available, if they would have chosen Kwity or Jaelan. Me personally, I think Kwity Paye is a much better prospect than Jaelan Phillips. We've pretty much seen what Jaelan Phillips is going to be. I think his his sacks and what have you were a little overblown. The production looked good, but I don't think his ceiling and his traits were as strong. I feel like Kwity Paye, his ceiling is over the fucking moon. I really do. And I believe, and I'm going on record right now and say this just like I said a month ago, now that they've really drafted him, I'm telling you, I expect him to be an impact, not only an impact player, but I think before his career is done, he will be a transformational player. I believe we'll be talking about him in the same breath as Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis. I really, truly believe that, not just based on fucking emotion, but based on facts, logic, and reason and what I've seen. So when they got to pick 21, you get no argument from me. Kwity Paye was 100% unquestionably the best choice there, if you're asking me. And here's why. Some people have made the argument that, they should have taken Darrisaw there, left tackle was a bigger need, etc. My man Chester Bean, one of our most loyal supporters and listeners, felt that way. And I told Chester, hey man, I'll answer that. Here's the thing. First off, let's talk about Darrisaw as a prospect. Darrisaw was a good prospect, no doubt about it. He's a first-round level talent. But there's some things about Darrisaw that you have to question. One being, is he a full-on, true left tackle at the next level in the NFL? Now, I think that he is. I think he would be a solid starter. Will he be a Pro Bowler? I don't know. Would he be dominant? I don't know. But I think he would have been definitely a solid starter. I really have to say that. That being said, there's some questions about Darrisaw, and one of the questions, and this is mentioned by multiple people, is that he didn't seem to go hard every play. He seemed to take some plays off. Sometimes he'd give it 1,000%. Sometimes it looked like he's taking plays off. Number one, you can't fucking afford that at left tackle, okay? At your starting left tackle. Now, if a guy's not an all-pro, maybe he gets beat occasionally. But him not giving his all on every play, that's fucking unacceptable. Like, that's a big red flag. Big red flag. Especially when you're choosing between him and a guy, an edge rusher, who gives 10,000% on every play, every minute of every play. And that's what we've seen on the tape of Kwity Paye. So understand, we all know left tackle was a need. We all know it would have been great if they'd have come out of this draft with a guaranteed left tackle of the future, or at least a strong possibility of their left tackle of the future, right? But the truth of the matter is, after Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater, all the left tackles afterwards had question marks. And other than Darrisaw, they were all second-round choices or later in terms of how their talent and their measurables and everything rated out. But let me tell you why we should be able to settle this argument. I'm going to settle this fucking argument for you real simply, okay? Real simply. That's why you tune in and listen to me, right? Because I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass, give you a bunch of bullshit or numbers without context like a lot of these geek motherfuckers who really don't know what they're talking about at Pro Football Focus and other places like that. Not that I'm hating on Pro Football Focus. They're cool. I like some of what they do, but sometimes those guys, you know, are spitting out numbers without really having any context to those numbers. And they spit them out about teams they really don't know shit about. So, but let's put this fucking argument to bed very simply, okay? Let's assume Kwity Paye and Christian Darrisaw were even. Let's assume they were even prospects. And you got to make a decision. Well, let me ask you this. Which one's more important, an edge rusher or a left tackle on your team? Well, let's put it this way. Would you rather have Dwight Freeney or Anthony Costanzo? Which of those two would you rather have? Hell, we can go past Anthony Costanzo because Anthony Costanzo was a great left tackle, should have made the Pro Bowl at least once or twice, but never did. So he was above average. But hell, throw whatever tackle in there you want to. Hall of Fame left tackle versus Hall of Fame edge. Would you rather have Dwight Freeney or whatever Hall of Fame left tackle you want to throw in there? Which one's going to make more impact on your team? You cannot fucking argue that left tackle is more important. Left tackle is one of the most important positions on your team, right? We agree. But there's no fucking way that a top-end left tackle makes a bigger impact on your team in terms of actually winning games than a top-end edge rusher. Which one can win a game for you in one play? You feel me? How many times did we see Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney win whole games for us with one play? So it's not really debatable if you're being intellectually honest, all right? So now let's follow that conclusion. Let's follow the logical reasoning based on that conclusion. And let's talk about the second round, because this is where motherfuckers was ready to fight and throw hands over the second round choice. This is the one that caused the most furor amongst the Colts fans and even the Colts media and podcasters, etc. The Colts second round pick, they get to 54 in the second round, second pick. They've already taken Kwity Paye, edge rusher, in the first round with the 21st pick. So they get to 54 and they select Dayo Odeyingbo, another edge rusher. And on top of everything else, a motherfucker who just ruptured his Achilles tendon right before the Senior Bowl. So he's not going to be back. Probably at the earliest, from what they say, he won't even be able to play until maybe October. Could even be into November. They take a second edge rusher in the second round instead of a left tackle. Now, in all fairness, we have to give context. A whole bunch of fucking second round left tackles went right before them, including one of my favorites, Dillon Radunz, one spot before the Colts picked. Dillon Radunz went to Tennessee at 53. So, we have to give context that really all the left tackles with a second round grade on them, and a few that I personally think were third or fourth round grade guys, including Dylan Radins, honestly, went before the Colts. So there was a run on offensive tackles. But remember, I told you guys in the podcast about offensive tackles in the draft. I told you that a run could happen on them, even considering that all of them were not necessarily second or third round prospects. A run could happen because you got a lot of teams that need them. They are super important. And if you're some teams that panic, you're like, fuck it, we got to take them. So we have to give that context. In a way, it's maybe a good thing for some people's hearts that all those motherfuckers did get drafted before the Colts picked at 54, because based on what we've heard from Chris Ballard and some other people inside the Colts organization, including some anonymous sources, the Colts would have picked Dayo Odeyingbo even if 2, 3, or 4 of those offensive tackles had been available at 54. And for people who say, oh, that's just bullshit, that's just them saying that to save face. Well, let me ask you, logically, why would you think they're just bullshitting to save face? Do you know how much a fucking team has to be in love with a prospect, has to be in love with a player to draft that player, the same position that they just drafted in the first round, to draft that player with a second round premium pick when that player just ruptured their fucking Achilles tendon a month or so ago? Do you know how much they have to love that motherfucker? So you think they're just blowing smoke up your ass that they would have taken him anyway? They say that they would have considered taking him in the first round. And let me just tell you, there are a bunch of teams that had a first round grade on Dayo Odeyingbo before he ruptured his Achilles. You know, Stephen Holder did some good reporting saying that he had heard that there were 2, 3, maybe 4 other teams that were going to snap him up if the Colts hadn't taken him. Now, like I said, this is where the fighting words start, because a lot of people are like, okay, you took the edge in the first round. For you to not take a left tackle in the second round, fuck that. You're taking a guy at the same position who just blew his Achilles out. That's fucking nuts. This is where people are like, Chris Ballard horsefuck this fucking draft. Well, let me just say this. Let's go back to our little hypothetical question. When you're asking yourself, why in the fuck would they take 2 edges, 1 and 2, knowing they don't even have a third round pick? Well, let me ask you this. Would you rather draft Freeney and Mathis? Would you rather have Freeney and Mathis or Freeney and Costanzo? And I'll fucking wait. Or Mathis and Costanzo. And I'll fucking wait. Because anybody trying to talk themselves into believing that, oh yeah, I would rather, you know, in our position, with our left tackle position, I'd rather have Freeney and Costanzo instead of 11 years of fucking vicious pass rush magic that wins us games by getting Freeney and Mathis again. Now, again, I'm not saying that Dayo and Quiddy are going to be Freeney and Mathis, but I am saying I believe they have the potential to be, and I would not be surprised if those 2 guys become the edge cornerstones of the Colts for the next 10 years, on par with Freeney and Mathis. Maybe not as good. I mean, those are 2 Hall of Famers. But you get what I'm saying. So I'm going to say again, if you're trying to fucking talk yourself into saying, in this situation, I would take edge rusher and left tackle. Well, let me just give you Exhibit A. What conference do the Colts play in? They're in the AFC, right? And they're in the AFC South. Have you taken a fucking look at the QBs that they're going to have to play in the AFC alone just to get to the Super Bowl? Let's talk about them, shall we? Just in the AFC, my friend, you've got Patrick Mahomes, you got Josh fucking Allen, you got Ryan Tannehill in our division. You can snicker and sneer if you want to, but Ryan fucking Tannehill's been playing good ball, and let's point out that they won the division last year, not us. Okay? You got Lamar Jackson for the Ravens. You got fucking Baker Mayfield playing for the Browns. You got Derek Carr playing for the Raiders. He's playing good football. The Patriots just drafted Mac Jones. He probably won't suck. The Chargers have got fucking Justin Herbert. The Broncos, word is, they're getting ready to trade for fucking Aaron Rodgers. The Cincinnati Bengals have Joe Burrows. We got our old friend Deshaun Watson, who's still playing for the Texans, again in our division until something changes. The Jets just drafted Zach Wilson, who could be good. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars, again in our division, just picked up no less than Trevor Lawrence, the consensus best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck and maybe Peyton Manning. Now, again, just in our division, we got to fucking deal with Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson at this point, and Ryan Tannehill 6 times a fucking year. Now, I ask you, how's a good but not great left tackle you might have drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round? How are they going to help you beat those teams? What are they going to do about those quarterbacks? Let's say Costanzo had played in that playoff game against the Bills. Would we have had a better chance of winning with Costanzo, or if we'd had 2 booking vicious ass fucking nasty pass rushers? Now, you still wondering? You still think it was stupid for Chris Ballard and the boys to take 2 edge rushers who they believe can be all pro quality guys? They believe can be big time playmakers, game breakers, game changers for this team going into the future? Yeah, you're going to face that fucking murderer's row just trying to get to the Super Bowl? I'd rather have a Freeney and Mathis than Freeney and Costanzo. You follow me? You know, to answer the question, honestly, I don't have the slightest fucking idea if Chris Ballard and his squad horsefuck this 2021 draft. And none of us will have any fucking idea, probably at least until 2 or 3 years down the road. But here's what I can say. Based on their track record, I can say probably not. I feel pretty good about it. And also based on the fact, look, you hear these motherfuckers on TV, on the radio, on podcasts, etc., all wanting to give their take, wanting to give their grades to the draft picks. And I thought they picked this guy a little earlier than they should have been picked. Listen, those motherfuckers are watching film on the weekends. Do you understand how they pick these guys? You think they're just fucking doing rock, paper, scissors when it comes down to between 2 guys and when they're on the clock? They spend thousands of hours scouting these draft prospects, sometimes for years. They know infinitely more about every one of these prospects than any of us. So, when they take a guy in the 2nd round that's an edge rusher that just blew out his Achilles, that should tell you they think he can be special. And I just gave you the reason why they want 2 vicious ass fucking pass rushers to go along with the other dudes that they want to be bringing off the bench, and also along with Big Grover Stewart and DeForest the Beast fucking Buckner. Don't forget those dudes are there. Shit, Charles Leno, 7-year starter at left tackle from the Bears, just got released today because the Bears took Tevin Jenkins, one of the guys that I liked, and they immediately released their left tackle, who's been a Pro Bowler in 2018 and has been starting every game for them for 7 straight years. He's a guy that the Colts could snap up and plug right in there and problem solved. And you still got the rushers you wanted. So, yeah, I highly doubt they horsefuck this draft. Listen, the truth of the matter is, if they hit on the 2 edge rushers and just one other guy in this draft, they knocked it the fuck out of the park. If they hit on those 2 edge rushers and just Kylan Granson, they drafted to be their move tight end. If he just gives you anything close to like what Eric Ebron gave you, they fucking won this draft. You feel me? If that fucking beast of a wide receiver in terms of measurables, Michael Strachan, that they took in the 7th round, if he pans out along with these 2 edge rushers, they've killed this fucking draft. Now, if Kwity Paye and Dayo Adangbo, if they both bust out, well, then we can talk, and I'll be leading the charge and say, yo, Ballard, your big dick was fucking soft on this one, bro. You need fucking Viagra, bro. Man, fuck, you'll need Cialis. If both those motherfuckers bust out. If they don't work out, well, then we got a fucking problem. But at this point, all the picks they made based on how the draft board fell, and even based on their needs, made perfect sense. Because I am very confident that those guys were the highest guys on their board. Now, like I said, I'm going to get into each player in the next podcast, but I just wanted to lay out for you guys how they think about this and why they made the picks they made and what that process was like, so some of y'all can back away from the fucking razor blades and not slit your wrists. I get it. I get it. I know that we're prisoners of the moment and, you know, we're fucking hot take nation right now. And you also got a whole bunch of motherfuckers giving commentary on the NFL to know what the fuck they're talking about. You got, you know, fucking Greg Doyle out there. And I like Greg Doyle, but, you know, he writes a column talking about, oh, Colts just got worse this offseason. Get the fuck, man, shut the fuck up, Doyle. Go back to talking about soccer and boxing, bro. What the fuck are you talking about? They got worse. Here's the problem. Remember, these guys are columnists. Their goal is to get your attention, to say and write shit that gets your attention. Here's the problem with his assertion right from the beginning. The fucking offseason ain't even over, bro. This is May. Okay? They don't play till September. We got May, June, July, August. We got 4 months before the offseason is actually over, and you can even make a judgment on the offseason. And you're like, oh, they got worse. Man, get the fuck out. Shut the fuck up. See, that's the kind of bullshit. It's bullshit, illogical, uninformed takes like that that led me to create this podcast for you, my friend, my brother, my sister, for real Colts fans like yourself. So, again, I think this draft made perfect sense. But I know there's going to be more and more and more commentary and discussion on this. And I want you to let me know in the comments if you see it the way I see it, you think I'm making sense, or if you think I'm fucking crazy, I'm out of my mind, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and you still believe that Chris Ballard and the squad horsefuck the 2021 draft. Let me know in the comments. All ideas, thoughts, and opinions are welcome as long as it's based on facts, logic, and reason and not a bunch of fanboy bullshit. You with me? So let me know in the comments what you think. I appreciate you being here. Stay tuned for the next podcast where I'm going to deep dive into each one of the draft picks that the Colts made, pros, cons, etc., and projections. And I'm going to leave you with the final words that I leave you with every week. They're the same final words I leave every Colts player, Colts coach, Colts front office member who listens or watches, because I know some of them do. We just had our draft. Let's go ahead and fill out the rest of the roster throughout this offseason, and let's get about the business of winning another fucking Lombardi, baby. Peace.